Over the last decade or so, about 3 million US troops have gone through Shannon Airport to prosecute disastrous wars in Afghanistan, Iraq. We've had rendition flights, illegally kidnapping people for torture, using our airport. We've had the US military transporting support to Saudi Arabia to carry out its horrific attacks in Yemen. And some of the greatest critics of the US war machine and the destruction it has visited on human beings, but also it's important to say the US war machine and war machines generally are one of the greatest destroyers of the environment and have done extraordinary damage to the climate. But some of their greatest opponents have been US military veterans, and I'd like to welcome into the Dáil Gallery two US military veterans who served with the paratroopers, the US paratroopers and the Marine Corps, Ken Myers and Tarek Kauf. And they have been essentially imprisoned in Ireland for the last 7 months because they have had their passports taken from them, so they're not allowed to go back to the United States, awaiting trial for a protest at Shannon Airport on St. Patrick's Day of this year. Now, incredibly, they're 77 and 82 respectively, so hardly a danger or threat to anybody. But incredibly, the state prosecutor submitted to the judge who was hearing their case that they were a flight risk. Now, I can tell you, Ken and Tarek, wild horses wouldn't stop them from going to their trial, because they want to put the war on trial and the US military on trial and the role of Shannon Airport in the US military endeavours on trial. So they are more than willing to come back. We'll sign affidavits to that effect. Michael Finucane is representing them, but in a purely vindictive act, and I wonder an act pressured by the American government, maybe, possibly. But certainly in a really shocking move, the state prosecutor presses the judge to take their passports off them. So they are now separated from their family, their friends, for 7 months, won't be able to go home at Christmas. Now, a judge has made that order, but on foot of a submission of the state prosecutor. Now, what I'm asking you, Taoiseach, is, because you have their absolute solemn pledge they will come back for their trial, right? As I said, wild horses wouldn't stop them from attending that trial. But I would ask you to ask the state prosecutor to withdraw that submission, that they are a flight risk, because they are not a flight risk. Let them have their passports back, so they can return to their family pending that trial. They haven't even got a date for the trial, and you can have signed, solemn declarations from them that they will come back and face that trial.